Am I the asshole for not allowing a marriage proposal happen on a film set? I, 22F, am currently a film undergrad, and for our final term project, we have to produce a short film in groups of 8. I was the director and main writer. We planned to shoot a number of scenes at a local mall, which was always busy, but after a lot of communication, was allowed to film only for 5 hours, and if we went overtime, we would have to pay a penalty fee that would put us over budget for our project. So we show up for our filming day. Everything went rather smoothly, and our team was efficient, but delays added up and we had to rush our final few scenes. For our final scene, we had prepared a wall of yellow balloons at an outdoor square in the mall. When we showed up to film, however, there was a group of 3 girls, 2 holding bouquets, and 2 guys standing right in front of it. Our art director had been sitting nearby to make sure no one's tampering with the wall, but she was occupied with an urgent call. As we set up, our assistant director, P, went to ask them to leave. One of the girls told us that their friend was heading there to propose to his girlfriend, and that the balloons made a romantic backdrop and would be nice for photos, and their friend was already informed to show up at that square. At this point, we were all set up with about 45 minutes to film our final scene. I went over and P informed me what was going. We again asked them to leave and cited our limited filming time, but they remained adamant, saying that their friend was arriving soon and they won't take long. Some of the team felt bad and that we should just let the proposal happen first, but mostly, we were worried about the penalty fee. I also voiced that having to rush the proposal and our team just standing around would take away from their celebratory joy. Plus, we don't have the time for them to take photos, stand around and celebrate, etc. I went back to ask them to leave, this time threatening to call mall security. The 5 of them got agitated and started yelling at me. P and our art director, G, came running, and we were trying to calm them down when their friend and his girlfriend shows up. He came running over and asked what was going on, and after he learnt about the situation, started yelling along with his friends. All the while, his girlfriend was standing around awkwardly, having heard our argument and their proposal now essentially ruined. Mall security showed up, G called them, and they very reluctantly left. We managed to finish filming the scene and cleaning up all our sets, without any trouble before the given time. When I got home, I told my family about what happened over dinner. My mom and sister agreed with what we did, but my dad thought we should have let the proposal happen, saying it was a pity that we ruined the guy's proposal and it was our own fault for not properly allocating our time. Am I the asshole for not letting the guy propose on our film set? Not the asshole. Your set, your film, your allocated time, which you could not influence, your budget. You did not ruin his proposal, he did that himself by not planning. They were the asshole for complaining and not taking a no from you. Not the asshole. It was our own fault for not properly allocating our time, WTF? You paid for the time you needed. How do you allocate time for strangers inflicting themselves on your set, and why would you? The guy ruined his own proposal, by not talking to someone like you first and figuring out how to make it work. Perhaps if he'd been willing to pay the additional fee, and you'd known in advance, it could have happened or he could have gone with something else. No one is obligated to go out of pocket to help strangers who can't plan or communicate propose. Not the asshole, but you should have called mall security immediately. There is no reasoning with people who just plant themselves in the middle of your schedule and refuse to budge. And your father is the asshole for telling you should have let the spontaneous take over your film. Does he always side with Año 9 Nay who frustrates your rights? Not the asshole. This guy stumbles across your set when he clearly has nothing planned and then yells at you. Hell no. Not the asshole. The entitlement kids are being raised with nowadays blows my mind. The only thing you did wrong was not calling security from the beginning. I'm glad you got everything you needed though. Am I the asshole for accidentally convincing my friend I'm a recovering alcoholic? I am a 28-year-old guy, and I don't drink. I'm not an alcoholic and have no family history of alcoholism. I just have a high tolerance and dislike the taste. I work at a business where everyone is close, and drinking after close is common. I always just say I'm sober and it's respected, especially since I have a coworker who is also sober, so we have grown close. Through this he's opened up to me about his own struggles with alcoholism. I've always been supportive but never even hinted that I was also an alcoholic. A few weeks ago he asked me if I did online or in-person meetings and I told him I didn't do them at all because I didn't need them. Maybe it was my own fault for not being clear as to why I didn't need them, but he just went quiet. Last week he told me it was his 1-year anniversary of being sober, and asked me to come to his meeting. I said yes because I wanted to support him. The day comes and I go. When I walk in, my friend and an older woman, who was the head of the group, immediately come to greet me, and the woman hugs me and tells me how much she's heard about me. It felt weird, but I brushed it off. Eventually the meeting starts. The whole time I felt like I was intruding because everyone's stories were very personal. After my friend spoke a bit, everyone looked to me expectantly. I wasn't sure what to say, so I just introduced myself and said I was there as support. The group head asked if I wanted to speak about my journey at all, but I said no and just kind of still sat there in silence until they moved to someone else. After, the group head approached me again and said that even if I wasn't ready to talk, she wanted to commend me for coming and wanted me to come again next week. I was about to decline when my friend piped up that he could be my sponsor. Now I might have been a bit dense up until this point, but it finally clicked into place. Still confused, I tried to explain to her I wasn't an alcoholic, but I think the group head just took that as typical denial. I was getting kind of flustered and agitated at this point, which I'm sure didn't help my case, but I felt like I was being talked down to with how no one was believing me. Eventually I just made an excuse and left. The next day at work my friend was pissed and told me I was a dick at the meeting, but I was pissed back and asked him why he lied and told them I was an alcoholic. Turns out this whole time he really thought I was. I convinced him I wasn't, and now he's livid and thinks I was lying to get him to open up and be vulnerable with me so I could make a move. I'm gay. The fight was a few days ago, and I've been doing my best to avoid him at work, but yesterday he texted me a photo of a beer that said, "Set back the clock." I don't know what to do. I didn't intentionally mislead him, but am I somehow responsible for breaking his year of sobriety? Not the asshole, he made an assumption. But also, he way overstepped. Even if you had been an alcoholic, it wasn't his place to railroad you into going to a meeting and tell other people about you. Not the asshole. However, you may want to rethink your wording in the future. Saying, "I'm sober," does imply previous troubles with alcohol addiction, or at least that it's hard for you not to drink, so I understand his confusion. Having dealt with issues myself in the past, I can imagine it felt good for him to find someone to connect with over it and share recovery with. To then find out that it's not what they thought can be pretty devastating. I'd take him aside and apologize for the confusion. You did nothing wrong, but it helps to empathize, and say that you never meant to mislead him. Wish him the best in his recovery and tell him that you are there if he needs someone to talk to, etc. If you are okay with doing so. Not the asshole. He made a bunch of assumptions. Also, you're not responsible for his relapse. Not the asshole. As far as his relapse is concerned, that's not your fault. He's using you as an excuse to drink and making himself out to be the victim, so no one blames him for relapsing. His sobriety is solely his own responsibility. I mean dense, but you admit that. He is embarrassed, but he assumed things. That's his fault, and he should be thanking you for not getting up there like I would have and said, "I'm not an alcoholic, I just don't like to drink and I was here for a friend." You told him in private, which is more than he deserved for pushing you like that. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend this apartment isn't hers even though her name is on the lease? My girlfriend, 23 and 25, and I have been together for almost 2 years now. Back in May, she got a new, good-paying job and we signed a lease together for an apartment that I just moved into about 3 weeks ago. When we originally signed the lease, we agreed that I would move in July when the apartment came available and she would move in November after having some time to live at home and save up some money. This will be her first time ever living out of her house, which she is very attached to as she's lived there her whole life and has a very close relationship with her mom. Her dad died in high school, so her and her mom are very close. I had no problem with her waiting until November to move in. We agreed on that. Since then, she has been spending a lot more time at her house instead of time with me. She only stays at the apartment once or twice a week. She claims she is soaking up her final moments in the house she was raised in before she finally becomes an adult and moves out. Since we signed the lease, we have spent a lot less time together as she soaks up these last moments at home. I've communicated that I wish we still spent more time together and I wish that she wanted to spend the night more often and start making this place feel like home. She always disagrees. Obviously, I'm paying the rent alone for the next few months since I'm the only one living here. The actual issue is that when she's here and we have people over, she refers to the apartment as our place. When I put something in a place she doesn't like putting a cleaner under the wrong sink, She claims this is her home too because her name is on the lease and she will be moving in soon, so she should get a say in where things go. I guess I don't see it as fair for her to call it our place, when I've communicated nicely that I wish she wanted to spend more time over here and she always shoots it down. I told her this isn't her place yet because she doesn't pay for it yet, and she only spends 1 or 2 nights a week here. She doesn't want to spend more time here because she wants to soak up her final moments at home with her mom. So I told her if that's the case then she has no say in where I put things or how I do things here. I told her it's my home and not hers yet. She said this really hurt her feelings and makes her feel unwelcome here. Am I an asshole for telling her that? Edit for additional context. Her mom is very excited for her to move out and to become an empty nester. She travels a lot and has made it really clear she's ready for her kids to move out. So no pressure coming from mom's end to stay home as much as possible. The new place is 15 minutes from her mom's house and her job. We already eat with her mom regularly once per week and see her often other times. Also, we're both women in this relationship. I think you are both too immature to take this step. You want her there, but until she moves in, you don't want her to feel welcome. At least that's the vibe you're giving her by telling her it's not her apartment and she can't decide where you put things. Not the asshole, her name might be on the lease, but she has no right to tell anybody what cleaning product to put under any sink until she moves in and start paying rent. I really don't get the you are the asshole judgments. She has no say until she moves in or starts paying her share. Man shrugging, medium dark skin tone. Info. Is there any reason you can't go hang out with her at her home once in a while too these last few months? If you're both going back and forth, it may feel less like a huge step to spend a night at the apartment with you after spending a whole evening at the old home with you and her mom. You've agreed to a long transition period and now you're upset at the speed she's transitioning between 2 homes. You'd better figure out why. Am I the asshole for telling my aunt her anti-aging bullshit is making her insufferable? I, 15 female. Live with my mom, 45, little brother, 8, aunt, 35, her husband, my cousin, 13F, and my grandma. My aunt on the anti-aging thing. She has one of those straws that are supposed to prevent smokers' lines, an LED mask, is training to not use her facial muscles so she won't get wrinkles. She has hundreds of dollars worth of skincare products, and gets Botox treatments every 2 months or so. She has been on this anti-aging thing since it became a trend on TikTok. She started getting real into it about 6 months ago. This wouldn't bother me, live and let live, if she wasn't pushing her BS. She is constantly trying to get me to do her full skincare routine with her, will try to convince me to train my face to not use my facial muscles, and will scold me whenever I smile, laugh, or raise my eyebrows because I'll get wrinkles. She does the same to her daughter, only her daughter buys into it. She had her bat mitzvah a few months ago and has spent all of the money she got on Drunk Elephant with her mother's full support. It worries me a lot that she's barely a teenager but is concerned about aging this much. Aunt is trying to get my mom to get Botox, and insults her behind her back. She says that my mom has middle-aged skin, has let herself go, and that my mom is hurting me by not encouraging me to preserve my youth. This all came ahead Friday when we were having dinner. I laughed. My aunt scolded me and my mom told her off. This started the argument. I only have her best interests at heart. She will look better when she's older if she trains her face now. She can laugh if she wants, it doesn't matter. Of course you would say that. My uncle asked my aunt, what is that supposed to mean? I'm saying that if she took the time to age gracefully and didn't let herself go then maybe she wouldn't be divorced. For context, my dad is gay. That's why they got divorced. My dad's gay. She said, if he was actually gay then you and little brother would also be gay. But you're not. I am gay, but that's besides the point. I then said, and this is where I might be the asshole, shut the fuck up. This whole aging thing has made you insufferable. It has been well over 6 months and you're still fucking annoying. You shame all the women around you for existing. Your beauty is not an accomplishment. Stop acting like you have earned anything. She of course went on a, don't talk to adults like that, I'm your aunt, you can't disrespect me, rant. My bubby said, aging is a privilege, be grateful you're still alive, which got everyone to shut up for a bit. Then she accused my aunt and uncle of having relations on Tisha B'Av, which prompted me and the other kids to leave the room. Me and my brother got picked up by our dad later that night. My aunt has been blowing up my phone demanding I apologize all weekend and I'm dreading going back tomorrow. I don't know if I'm the asshole, but I was probably too rude to be her. Am I the asshole? Wrinkles are a privilege and so is gray hair. I am not even 40 and I know so many who are dead now and never got the opportunity to get wrinkles and grays. I wear mine with pride. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I couldn't imagine myself even talking to someone like your aunt. She's like a militant vegan of the beauty world. Don't apologize. Don't ask for forgiveness and don't compromise, as these times of people just get more pushy if you gave them a chance, and talk to your mom. Not the asshole. She's a dummy, don't listen to her. Just because she's older doesn't mean she's right. Not the asshole. I feel incredibly sorry for your aunt's 13Y, oh daughter. God knows what kind of complexes and body image issues they're developing from all this. There are only 2 things on the planet that are FDA approved to be anti-aging. They are tretinoin and sunscreen. Anything other than these 2 things is just smoke and magic with lots of promises and no true ability to change the skin.